Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Creating Cards with Debbie. My name is Debbie Foster, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I'm located in Bismarck, Arkansas, and I want to welcome you here today. Today is Monday, July 28th, 2025. So this month is almost over with, too. They fly by. Seems like faster every day. Okay, so I'm just going to give a moment for everybody to get here. I know I was a minute or so late, but maybe somebody will catch up to me here. All right, so I'm going to be doing 3 greeting cards today using Stampin' Up! Products. So let me go ahead and get started with our introductions and of our new news that's going on with Stampin' Up! So let me bring you over here, and I'm going to show you our August paper pumpkin kit. It says send. It's called August. It's called Farmhouse Florals. I got to spit those words out today. Farmhouse Florals, and you got until August 10th to sign up with this paper pumpkin. It says send whimsical cards featuring flowers nested in delightfully unexpected places. It says it makes 9 cards, 3 each of 3 designs with 9 coordinating envelopes. It has pre-cut paper pieces and linen thread, sentiment stamps for the outside and inside of the cards. And the Stampin' Spot that comes with this one is going to be one of our new colors, the Secret Sea. And you'll also get a free additional stamp set with this. So instead of getting 1 stamp set, you're going to get 2 stamp sets. And for an added bonus, you can add on the add-ons of the dies. And these are called the Circle of Seasons add-on dies. And the item number is 167277. And the cost of these dies is $12. But you have to be a Paper Pumpkin subscriber. So you could sign up for the August Paper Pumpkin kit and add these onto your order. So they coordinated with the July through September Paper Pumpkin kit. So it's for 3 months. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn these off, and we're going to talk about getting your Stampin' Up! Kit. And what that is, you can get your stamping kit for $99, and you pick out $125 worth of products, and that includes free shipping. So that's an added $26 to your kit that you don't have to pay for. So if you have any questions on that, I'd love to have you on my team. We have lots of support on there, but you don't need to do what I do. You can just get it to get your discount. So after you've received your kit, then you'll be able to put in your next orders, and you'll get at least a 20% discount on your order. So that's an added incentive. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me with that. Either email me or private message me on Facebook, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. So I think we're ready to get started here. I can't think of anything else that's going on right now. Don't forget about the last chance portion of our store. And we'll go ahead and get started. Let me turn my camera around. Okay. All right, there's my tabletop, and looks like I'm a little bit crooked. Let me see if I can't get that straightened out. All right, that's a little better, I think. Okay, if you need to reach out to me other than on private messaging, you can reach me at my email address, which is debbiefoster.stampinup.net. Or no, that's my store. I'm sorry. My email address is creatingwithdebbie179@gmail.com. I guess I'm not paying good attention here. Got my mind somewhere else. Okay, and if you want to shop any products that I'm showing today, or any others. It looks like some of my banners have moved on me. All right. I've got my store scrolling across the bottom, and it says shop with me at www.debbiefoster.stampinup.net. And that's to order any products that you might need for your paper crafting needs or any of the products that I'm using today. Be sure you say hello when you come on. And like I said, I want to welcome you here today. So we're going to be using, the embossing folder, which is the Stampin' Cut and Emboss embossing folder, the Sunflower 3D embossing folder. And we've got some techniques that we're going to use with it today. As you can see, this is a large folder, so we can do, I think it's like about 6 inches wide and about 8.5 inches long. So you can do a half a sheet of cardstock at one time. So that makes it easier, and you can cut it apart as you go. All right, I need to move my things a little bit closer here. Let me do some rearranging if I can. Okay, so here's going to be our first card. And get all my bits and pieces out here. And we will get started. I'm hoping our video doesn't take too long today. I've got some errands I've got to run this afternoon. So hopefully they go fairly well. We don't have any problems. Okay, so here's our first card. It says, feel better soon. And on the inside, I've got sending healing hugs to you. And I'm using different stamp sets for this. So let me go ahead and get those stamps out. My list here. This one. Okay, we're going to be using 3 different stamp sets with this project. Get that out of the way. First off, we're going to be using You Are Remarkable. I've got a lot of glare there. And we're using this flower image and this sentiment here. No, we're not using it on that one. Never mind. Just the flower image. And then we're going to be using just the sentiment that comes in the hugs and healing on the inside of our card. And then for the front sentiment, it's going to be coming from the Unbounded Love. And we're using the Feel Better Soon. So we can get started with that. We're going to be doing some embossing with this. And we're going to be using our ink to do the coloring. And I'll do that as we go, and I'll explain as we go. I didn't emboss this. I'm going to have to bring my machine over here, my big one. So I'm hoping that goes well. So we've got our card base first. Is going to be our 5.5 by 8.5. Just our standard size card. And then it's scored in the middle at 4 1/4 inches. So we'll go ahead and burnish that. Get a real good fold here. So it's going to be going landscape. And then we've got another strawberry slush cardstock. That's what the card base is too. I don't know if I mentioned that. So our strawberry slush cardstock. And that is going to be 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And we're going to run that through our embossing folder. But first, we're going to ink up our embossing folder. So let's get that out. And we're going to grab our ink pad. We're using the strawberry slush. And bring our folder out here. And we're just going to ink up the side that has the Stampin' Up logo on it. So that'd be the front part of it with our ink pad. And trying not to make a mess on my tabletop here already. We're just getting started. Sometimes that's easier said than done. Okay, that should be enough on there. close up our stamp pad. And then I'm going to bring that layer of cardstock over here. And I'm going to figure out where I want to have my flowers going. So I'm thinking maybe right here in this section. Just lay that down on top of there and fold it back over. And I'm going to have to make some room here and bring over our big machine because I won't fit through my small mini one. Get my plates all ready here. Okay, so I don't know if this is all going to show on the camera or not. We're going to do our best here. So I've got my base plate, the number 1, and then my folder, embossing folder. And you want to make sure that you put your seam into there first. Otherwise it could break on you. And then we're going to use the plate number 4. I got this turned awkward here, so I'm going to rearrange a little bit, run that through our machine. Okay. And I'm going to get our machine out of the way first here. I'm just going to set that down on the floor, I think. Now, out of the way. And we're going to open our embossing folder. Try not to get too much ink on myself. So there we have our cardstock. It's been colored by our ink. So pretty. Okay, I'm going to let that sit and dry for just a moment before we attach it. And I'm going to bring over our basic white cardstock, which measures 2 1/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. And we're going to stamp our flower onto there. So let me get that over here. I'm going to be using the outline, the inside of the flower and the stem, and the little center of the flower, and then a little squiggly square here to do some decorating with. And these all come out of that stamp set, which I showed you was the You Are Remarkable. And it's got 2-step stamping. So you're going to stamp the outline, and then we're going to stamp the colored part. So we don't have to do any coloring. It's just all stamping on this one. All right. Now we're going to be using our black Memento ink. Stamp the flower. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Ours was well. Nothing exciting, just our normal. But it was good. No complaints here. And I'm going to bring our little strip of our white over here so I can stamp that. Did I not cut one? I don't think I cut a little strip. So we're going to grab into our jar of strips of paper and see if we can find one that's suitable. And I think this one here will do fine. I keep all my scraps of paper that I cut when I'm cutting my cardstock, and then I can use them for sentiments later on. That comes in handy. So this is probably, I guess, 1/4 of an inch. Is it 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch? Yeah, 1/4 of an inch. And we're just going to cut it down to size, so it doesn't matter how long it is. And I'm going to grab my sentiment that goes with that. Feel better soon. And we'll ink that up with our black Memento. And I'm going to bring this down so I can see it without getting my head in the camera. And hopefully we get it straight the first time. Yeah, pretty good. Okay, we're going to set that aside for now. And I'm going to close up my black Memento. And then I'm going to bring over strawberry slush. and granny apple or lemon lime twist. That's what I'm using for the green. So strawberry slush first. So this is going to be the flower. And make a little room here. Scooch myself up here so I can see. And over that over our image to line it up. And that looks pretty good right there. And I'm going to bring over my Daffodil Delight. We're going to stamp the center of that flower. Using that little centerpiece. And stamp the center. And then our lemon lime twist. This is one of our old stamp pads. I haven't replaced it with the new yet. It still works, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. All right, and then these are going to line up with our stem. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to hover over. Hold that for a second for the ink to soak in. Got the lemon lime twist. So I'm going to bring that strawberry slush back here, and we're going to add a little bitty decorations around our flower. So just kind of randomly stamp. You don't want them going all the same direction, so I'm kind of alternating it. Yeah, I think that looks good. Maybe another one over here. Just going off the edge a little bit. Now we can close up our strawberry slush. And we're going to start assembling our card now. Our layer should be dry here. We'll bring our card base back over here. And I'm going to turn that over, and we're going to place that down onto our card base using my Tombow glue. When you're using embossing folders, you want to make sure you get plenty of glue on them, especially around the edges so that they don't lift. And we live in a humid climate here, so I'm going to give a little extra. We don't want them lifting off of our card. Try not to get my fingers in the glue here. And keep an even border around the edges. That looks good. Press it down. All right, so here's our card base so far. Now we're going to put dimensionals behind this little piece here. So I'm going to grab my dimensionals. And I take your pick tool to lift those off with. It looks like I'm getting down to the end of my embossing or dimensionals here. I've got a new sheet here waiting in case we run out. So no worries. All right. Stuck to my finger on that one. And I'm going to put a couple up here at the upper portion so it doesn't sag on me. All right, and we're going to add a strip of our designer series paper, which comes from our 2025 to 2027 in color 6x6 paper. And we're using this pattern, the strawberry slush pattern. And it's going to go across the center, or like the lower third of our card front. And it needs to be 5 1/4 inches long. So I guess I didn't cut that off yet. So we're going to bring our paper trimmer back in here and chop that off. So 5 1/4 inches. Just a little snip off of there. And this is going to go across this lower edge, lower portion. And using my faithful Tombow glue again. Okay, and center that across that lower edge. And let me look at that to see if it's straight. I think it is. We're going to press that down, make sure it sticks there. And then we've got our sentiment here, but we're going to place this over it first. So I'm going to bring my take your pick tool and pop off those dimensional backings. And then we'll attach that to the right side of our card. Looks like it's straight. And then we're going to take our sentiment here and we're going to snip off a little bit of those ends. We don't need it that long. I'm dropping things today. And put our glue on there. I'm going to attach that onto that strip of Designer Series paper that we laid down. And then I have made a bow out of this is called our bow linen ribbon, and this is the strawberry slush color. I've already made a bow out of that, and we're going to place that just above our sentiment. So I'm going to bring in my glue. Crash. Something fell off my desk. Hope it's nothing I need right now. Guess I had it sitting too close to the edge. It went over. All right. Grab my take your pick tool to pull that off. And we're going to place that just above our sentiment. And I'm going to trim down my tails a little bit. Okay. So here's the outside of our card. And we're going to work on the inside. We've got a basic weight, which is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And we're going to stamp our sentiment on there, which is going to say, sending healing hugs to you. And that came from the stamp set, which is the Hugs and Healing. It's sentiment right here. And we're going to add a strip of Designer Series paper to the bottom, but I'm going to stamp first to make sure I don't goof it up and have to turn the paper over. Okay, stamp that right in the center. Oh, that looks good. No mess ups on that one. Now we're going to attach our Designer Series paper to the bottom. And I'm going to be using the same side as I did for the front side of the card so that they'll match. Bring that over here. Place that about 1/4 of an inch up from the bottom of our cardstock. And just checking to see if that's straight. I'm going to use my grid lines here to check it out. Place that down. Maybe just a little lower right there. Looks good. Oops, stick it to my table. And grab my old scissors, paper snips, and I'm going to trim that off. Oh, I didn't mute my notifications. I apologize for that. And we'll add our adhesive to the back of the white layer. And put that inside of our card. There's lots of techniques that you can use for this embossing folders. I'm only doing a few of them today, so there's others out there. All right. I didn't add any gems or anything to this one. I figured it was kind of dressy enough. It didn't need anything else added to it. So here's our first card. Feel better soon. Sending healing hugs your way. I'll set them over there for now. Let me get some things out of the way here. Right. Let's see what our second card is. Okay, our second one is another technique. So let me get everything out here first, and then I'll explain as we go. I'm using a different embossing folder for this one. I am. I'm using the Hibiscus folder, which is another 3D folder. It says Happy Hibiscus Hybrid Embossing Folder. The description is in my video here, so you can look down there at that and get the description and the numbers and everything. So the hybrid folder itself is number 164879, but you can get it as a bundle where you'd get the stamp set, the dies, and the embossing folder at one price. So we're going to use that for our next project. So here's the card. Let me get my instructions out the back there first. I know what I'm talking about. So it says, "You make me smile." And then on the inside, we've got "Thanks for being so kind." So let's go ahead and get started with that one. I've already done the embossing, so we don't have to do that. Our cardstock is going to be our timid tiger, and we're going to be in portrait style this time. So it's going to be 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches, and then it's scored in the middle at 5 1/2 inches. So let's burnish that fold line real good. And our next layer is going to be a basic white, which is 4 1/8 inches by 5 3/8 inches, and that's going to be our mat that's going to go on our card. But I'm going to set my card aside, and we're going to work on the top layers first. And then I've got a two-tone Timid Tiger cardstock, which is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and that comes from our new two-tone cardstock packs. And so you get let's see, you get 12 sheets, and it is two-tone, which means that one side is darker than the other side. So I don't know if the camera is going to show it, but you can kind of see here. And let me get two pieces out here and kind of show the difference. So there is a difference. One side is a darker, and then the other side is a lighter, which is kind of fun to play with. I just started playing with mine. I just got some just recently, so I hadn't had time to do a lot with them, but I'm enjoying what I have been doing with it. So we're going to take those and we're going to set that aside. That's our inside layer. And I'm going to bring over a sanding block. And I'm going to put a scrap paper here and stick underneath it so I don't get dust all over everything. So I just got this at the at a craft store. It's just a sanding sponge, and it's the fine medium. It's got grit 180. It seems to work okay. So you don't want to scrub real hard because on one of them I did kind of tear the paper. So I'm just going to lightly rub it, and as you can see, it's already taken off the top layer, giving you the white core inside. So take off as much or as little as you want. Maybe get those center flowers a little bit more. Kind of lifting it and getting the corner edge of my sponge to go down in to get those places. To get a little more detail. And maybe some of these stars that are there. You can brush them a little bit. So I think that probably looks good right there. I'm going to place that aside. And do I have a napkin here? Kleenex? Yeah. That's a baby wipe, I guess. That works. Just to get rid of the excess dust on there. All right, now we're going to attach that to our, not yet, I'm jumping the gun here. I've got our designer series paper. I just dropped something here I got to grab. I'm using the Timid Tiger designer series paper that is in that same pack of the 2025 to 2027 in color 6x6. So I'm going to use this pattern. It's got that on the other side. And this measures 2.5 inches by 4 inches. And we're going to glue that down to the center of our card. So I'm trying to figure out which way I want my cardstock to go. I've got more flowers up this side, but I like that way too. So let's go ahead and keep it that way. And this is going to go across the center of our card. And get that on there straight. I'm going to use my grid paper again to see how far off I am. And not too bad, pretty close. So rub that down. And then I am using the ribbon. All right, I'm missing one ribbon. Hold on, I gotta grab something. I forgot to put it in the pack. Guess I put it away. Yes. Okay, it is just our white ribbon, it's called. So, very easy to work with. I guess I didn't cut the ribbons. I thought I did. I guess I figured they weren't that hard to cut. So along with that, we're going to be using the faux linen ribbon, like the other one, the pink that we used. But this is the Timid Tiger. And I'm going to grab 2 strips of this to go across our card right there. So I'm going to just eyeball them and cut them. No measuring. So I'm going to cut 2 the same size. And again, with the white one, we're going to do the same. So we're done with that. We can put that away. All right, I'm going to bring my silicone mat over here so we don't stick everything to my table surface. And I felt like it was wet yet. All right. So I do need to get up and grab some of that stuff that fell. Let me do that real quick. Oh yeah, it fell all over the place. I'll get the rest of it later. I'm going to use 2 different sizes of the tearing tape. I have an 1/8 inch, and this one is probably, I'm going to say 1/4 of an inch. Yep, 1/4 of an inch. So 1/4 inch on our bottom layer. So I run those across that top layer right above our designer series paper seam. Leave a little extra so I can run it across the back side. And the same with the bottom. This is going to hold our ribbon down in place. So we're down at the 1/4 inch. And we'll just wrap that around the back side, all 4. And take your pick tool to grab those off. To reposition myself in my chair before I fall off of it. I'm going to place down the first one first. And I want to put that right up against that seam of the designer series paper. And just wrap that around the back side. And we'll do the same with the bottom one. That around. And then I'm going to add the 1/8 inch on top of that ribbon. Right down the center. Some off the edge. And the same with the bottom. Those around the back side. Grab that layer off the top. Grab our white ribbon. Place it right across that center. So you're going to have just a little bit of that timid tiger poking out from the bottom of it. But the camera's showing it very well. The backing off of this side. Our ribbon again. Oops. Almost put it on the wrong one. There. And I'm going to trim these down a little bit because I don't need all that bulk on the back side. So just get rid of that excess. My dish over here so I can throw my scraps in there. Okay, that got rid of some of the bulk. All right, now we can go ahead and attach that to our white layer. And again, I want to make sure I use enough adhesive on the back to make sure my embossed layer isn't going to lift up off my card base. So be generous. My glue is clogged up. There it goes. It's being a little stubborn there for a bit. Right, we'll center that onto our basic white, which measured 4 1/8 inches by 5 3/8 inches. I'm not sure if I said that or not. And we'll leave a small border going around. Press that all down real good. Now we're going to attach that to the front of our card. Do I have that right side up yet? Yeah. That looks pretty centered. Press that all down real good. We've got some layers there, so you want to make sure that they all stick together. All right, so far. All right, and then next, I stamped on vellum. I know we don't sell vellum anymore, but you can get it in any craft stores. And so I stamped our flower images onto the vellum, but I used the black StazOn ink. It's jet black StazOn. And that way it doesn't rub off of your vellum. You could use Memento, but that would smear. So I've already stamped our images, and those all come from the Happy Hibiscus stamp set. So I used this image right here as our outline, and then the same for the leaves. I used just the outline image. So we're going to color those using our stamping blends. And I've only got 2 colors. We've got the Timid Tiger and the Secret Sea. So we're going to start with our flowers, and you want to turn these over to the back side. So kind of figure out which way you stamped it. You can see the shinier part is the front side. So we're going to do that on the back side. We're going to color. I'm going to start out with my light Timid Tiger. And I'm going to try using the brush end because it's a little bit faster. So just color all that on the back side. You can do it as light as or as dark as you want. If you want it a little bit darker with the light, you can color it once and let it dry just a little bit and come back and redo it again in the same color. Color all of our flowers first with the light Timid Tiger. I'm really liking the new colors in the our new in colors this year. I think I like all of them. All right, and I'm going to come back with the dark Timid Tiger, and I'm going to do some highlighting, some shading. So I'm going to just here and there. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I'm going to just give it some shading in the center. A little there, a little bit there. Yeah. Maybe little spots there can be colored in. All right. Hold it that. So here it is on the back side. It's kind of a muted coloring. So there's the back side, a little darker, and then the front side's more of a muted. So we're going to set that aside and let those dry for just a moment while we do the leaves. So we're done with the little tiger. Let's do the secret sea. And again, I'm going to start out with the light. And make sure I got the right side. Yeah, I got this side, it's the back side. So we're just going to color in. And I'm using the bullet tip on this one because it's a little bit closer coloring. They're smaller images, so I want to make sure I stay on the lines a little bit. I have more control with the bullet end than I do the brush end. Okay, and then I'll come back with the dark. And I'm just going to give a little darker color in the center where the stems are. The veins, I should say. Just to add a little shading. Let me see what that looks like. I think so. That looks good. All right, and then we've got our dies to cut those out with. So the die for the flowers is all one piece, so they'll cut all those at the same time. And our leaves, only got one of each size, so that we're gonna have to run it through a few times. I'm gonna use my mini machine this time so it doesn't take up my whole table. Move some things out of the way here so I have room to work. I've got 2 plates, a number 3 and 2 of the number 2 plates. So let's go ahead and cut out that flower first. And I'm going to grab my tape to hold those in place. Let's line up our die here. Well, okay, I've got to cut the other side. I was on the wrong side because it's not lining up for me. It works better if you do it right. Okay, I'm going to place that tape down there to hold it in place. It doesn't shift on me. Our second plate on top. I'll run that through. I still got the squeak. So there we have it. Cuts out all 3 flowers at the same time. And next we'll do the leaves. And again, I'm going to use my tape. Let me grab that tape off of there. We'll reuse it. So line those up. And a small one. Run those through. And one more time. Yeah. There. I'm going to put our dies over there so we don't lose them. All right, so we'll bring our card back over here. And we're going to arrange our flowers onto that middle section. So I'm just seeing how I want to place those. And I'm going to use mini glue dots to hold those down with. And I think I might place the leaves first because we're going to use those to fill in our spaces here. Right there. And another. Well, I like the bigger one better with the big flower. So I like to do odd numbers, so we're going to stick to the 3. All right, and now we're going to grab that leaf out of there and stick a mini glue dot under there and slip that in there where it was. And a flower. Oh, where was that again? Had that right about there. And maybe that leaf right there at an angle. Grab our large flower. Place that down. Small flower next. And our last leaf. That's that at the edge of this flower. The glue dots out of the way, and we'll come back with our banner, which we have put out of our Timid Tiger. And I used the die that was in that same bundle of dies. And it's these little edges, ridges on the edges. And we're going to stamp that. Did I not get that out? Okay, I did. With You Make Me Smile. And that comes from the Happy Hibiscus. You Make Me Smile sentiment. And our black memento ink again. We're not using the Stay Sound for our sentiment. We're just using our black memento. And we're going to stamp that centered onto our label here. I'm glad that's pretty straight because I don't think I cut an extra one. And that's going to go at our bottom edge here. Maybe I'll put that one at the top because I didn't leave much room at the bottom. So we're going to switch this one up a little bit. I should have left more space at the bottom. But it's okay. At the top looks good too. And I'll place that off to the right side on this one. All right, and then next we've got embellishments are going to be the 2025 to 2027 in color flat pearls. And we're using the Timid Tiger ones. And we'll bring our pick tool over here, and we're going to use the large and the medium size of the Timid Tiger. So one there. And medium one on our label. And then another large one onto our medium-sized flower in the center. Put those aside. And then we've got a bow that we have made already. And with this, I cut the ribbon in half, so right down the middle, split it in two, and made a double bow, which I'm trying to get this one out from underneath. There we go. And that's going to sit right up here on our flowers. Right above our flowers, I should say. And I'm going to use a mini glue dot again. Or maybe I like it on the other side better. Let me see. I think I want it on the left side with this one. So we're going to grab up that mini glue dot. And then we're going to place that down onto our ribbon. And we're going to trim those tails up. Okay, so there we have our card. I'm wondering, what if that would look better at the bottom? Can I pull that back off of there, move it? Yeah. I think it might look better at the bottom. Yeah, I like it better at the bottom because I've got too much here at the top. So we're going to trim those tails off a little bit more. Yes, I like it much better at the bottom. And straighten my ribbon back out up there. It kind of twisted it. So here's the front side of our card. You make me smile. And now we're going to do the inside, which is our basic white, which is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And we're going to stamp our sentiment on the inside, which says, "Thanks for being so kind." And I need this. All right. Thanks for being so kind. And I need to grab another stamp pad. I didn't grab my Timid Tiger. I'm glad I don't have to go very far. So Timid Tiger. And a black memento for the sentiment. Did I put that in the center or did I offset it? It's on the bottom. And I've got a piece of designer series paper that matches the front. That's going to go across the bottom layer. So I'm just going to do a dry fit here a little bit to see where I'm going to stamp at. And it's going to go at the bottom left side, just above our designer series paper. And I'm going to stamp our flower using our Timid Tiger ink pad. And this is the fill-in image of that same flower, the large one. We're going to use that to just stamp our image inside. So ink that up and stamp it kind of right above our designer series paper. Set our ink pad. And now we can add that strip of DSP to the bottom. And this is it a 1/2 inch? Yeah, 1/2 inch by 4 inches. It goes across that bottom edge. Leaving about 1/8 of an inch white showing at the bottom. And we're going to see how straight I am again. Looks pretty good. Maybe down just a hair there. And I'm going to trim off that little bit of excess on that one side. Just a hair. And we're ready to put it inside of our card. Everybody's quiet today. Be sure you say hello when you come on and let us know where you're watching me from. It's fun to see where everybody is. And even if you're watching it on the replay, you could still do that. And if you're watching me on Facebook, be sure that you hit that share button and like button. And if you're watching me on YouTube, be sure you hit that subscribe button and that little bell to be notified when I go live. So here's our second card, You Make Me Smile. And on the inside, it says, "Thanks for being so kind." Okay, that was card number 2. And card number 3 is kind of a simple one. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I wasn't going to do it, but I've changed my mind. It shouldn't take us very long. We've got some embossing to do, heat embossing to do, and that same method of using the sanding block. But we're using our Timid Tiger on this one. It says, "You've been on my mind." And it's really simple. I didn't add a whole lot to the front side. I just added 3 little embellishments, and that's all I did with it. And on the inside, I've got "Friends are flowers in the garden of life." So let's go ahead and do that. I wasn't going to. I was going to see how much time we had, but we've got plenty of time yet. So our card base is going to be our basic black, which is 4 1/4 inches by 11 inches, scored in the middle at 5 1/2 inches. So we're going to burnish that fold line with our bone folder. And then we've got that two-tone Timid Tiger cardstock that I showed you before. And this measures 4 1/8 inches by 5 3/8 inches. And we're going to bring out our sanding block again. So let's bring that paper back over here to lay underneath, and our sanding block. And we do a little sanding. Again, don't push too hard because your paper will rip. It's not a real heavy cardstock. It's a thinner cardstock. So you want to be gentle with it. A light touch. See, like right here, it's starting to rip the paper. So you gotta be more gentle with it. Center those flowers a little bit better. Get them white showing. All right, I think that's good. Put the sanding block away. And our paper away. And let's grab that baby wipe and wipe off that excess off of there. Oh, I've got that scrolling across the bottom. Let me get rid of that. Didn't even realize it. There. Taking up my space on there. All right, so this we can put aside for a moment. And we've got our basic black, which measures 1 1/4 inches. No, that's not right. Bring the ruler back over here. It's 1 1/4 inches by 2 1/4 inches. And then we've got that two-tone Secret C cardstock that measures 1 inch by 2 inches. And we're going to heat emboss our white embossing powder on top of that. So let me move some things out of the way here, make some room. And I'm going to say, "You've been on my mind." And I might have to clean that one off. No, I haven't used that one yet. And we've got our embossing toolkit here and everything. So we're going to bring all these out, and we're going to use our embossing buddy to get rid of any static cling off of our cardstock. So let's, that had a lot in there, didn't it? I think I might use the lighter side on this one. Let's do that side instead. And then we're going to grab our Versamark ink pad and ink up our image, which says, "You've been on my mind." I'm just making sure I get enough on there. Put the lid back on that. Bring our paper back over here. We're going to stamp our image on there. I need to bring it down here so I can see. And okay. I'm going to bring our white embossing powder over here. And I've got a reverse tweezers. I'm going to grab those so I don't burn my fingers. I can hang on to that better. I need to get a hold of it. Put our embossing powder on there. I want to make sure I've got a good coverage on that. So, yeah, one more time. And that looks fairly good. So I'm going to set our tray out of the way and bring my heat gun over here. That heated up real good. Moving some things out of my way here, make some room. Okay, so let's go ahead and heat emboss that. It takes a minute for the gun to heat up, but it's starting to right now. Once it's heated to the right temperature, it doesn't take but a bit. A few seconds, it's done. All right, tweezers away. We'll bring our black layer back over here. We're going to attach that to our black label layer. And we're going to center that. And then we're going to attach that to the edge of our embossed layer. And press it down good because you've got some dimension there it's got to go through. Okay, like that. And now we can put that onto our card base. And again, make sure you use enough adhesive to make it stay in place. It doesn't lift on you. Get around the edges pretty good. On our card front, leaving a little black layer going around, a black edge, border. All right, see, simple. Now we're going to add our embellishments to that, and I gotta find what I did with them again. Okay, we're using the same embellishments, the 2025-2027 in color flat pearls. We're going to use the Timid Tiger ones on this one. Or I think I'm going to switch it. Yeah, which one do I want? I don't want the dark or I want the lighter. I think I'll switch it to the cloud cover color. They might show up better. And I'm just going to place strategically. And I need a small one next to that large one, and then a medium-sized one we'll put up here somewhere. maybe right there. Okay, so that's all for the front. Very simple. And we've got a white layer that is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches for the inside. And I'm going to use a different sentiment that comes from the You Are Remarkable. And I'm using this sentiment here. Friends are flowers in the garden of life. With our black memento. We're doing good on time. I thought I was going to take longer today. I had some of the prep work done ahead of time, so that saved us a little bit. And place this, bottom right-hand corner. And put it on the inside of our card and call it done. Got a glue clump right there. I wanted to pick that off. It was going to make my paper bumpy. All right, to the inside of the card. And I need to scooch that down some. Yeah, it's good. Let me recrease that a little bit. All right, you've been on my mind. Friends are flowers in the garden of life. All right. So I'm going to show you some things that you can do with the embossing folder, that sunflower, just to give you some ideas. Okay. So on the deboss side, which is the back side of the folder, you can do this. This is just basic white, and I've used my sponge daubers to add color to the flower as shown. So it's kind of an indented look. Or you can do it the other side, which has the flowers embossed. So they're puffy on the top side. And I just colored the flowers with that, and it leaves the white background. So that's one option, either debossed or embossed. So embossed side, debossed side. And then I did embossed layer, and I just added the, I think I used the Darling Duckling ink pad. So I just inked up the inside of the folder, the same as I did with the strawberry slush one, the first one that we did. And I just ran that through the embossing folder and ran it through my machine, and it left all the color where it needed to be. And that one's the same. And here's just another sample of that using my ink daubers, sponge daubers, to add color to these. I added a little bit more around the edges here to give it a little more highlighting. And here's using the black cardstock. And then I just ran my craft matte white stamp pad across the top of it, and it gave it some white on top of the black. And with this one, I used white cardstock, and I did the opposite. I used black memento ink and scrubbed across it. So it gives it the white background with the black flowers images. And this one, I did just the opposite of the others. I used the embossing folder, and I inked up the back side, so it's the deboss side. So it gave the ink on the inside of the images instead of the upper side. And then here's the sponging, the sanding. And like I said, you can run a piece of cardstock, which is 6 inches by 8.5 inches, and you can emboss the whole thing. This is the deboss side, and then this is the emboss side. You can just cut this in strips to use, or you just use it as a card, fold it in half, and it's ready to go. Just put your cinnamon on there. So just a couple ideas that I came up with, and I know there's so much more out there that you can do, other techniques. So that covers everything for today. So let me bring our cards out here and give you a peek of everything we've done. So first one, second, and third one. So I hope you enjoyed the cards today and you get out there and kind of work with that embossing folders. They're nothing to be scared of. Just try different techniques and see which one you like the best. And have fun with it all. Okay, so I'm going to let you all go. And let me bring my calendar over here to talk about next video will be August, which I have a busy month next month, August. My birthday's next month, and I've got some medical things that I have to have done. And just a busy month. Okay, so next Monday will be, it's my birthday, August 4th. It's my birthday. I'll be doing a video on my birthday. I didn't even realize that. So that's good. It's a good way to spend my birthday. I don't mind. No place better that I'd rather be than in my craft room. So anyway, next week, August 4th, Monday, at the same time, same channels. I'm not sure what I'm going to be making. I've got some new things that are coming, so maybe I can get those done up. So it might be a new item that I'm coming from Stampin' Up. It's supposed to be here, I think, Thursday. So maybe it'll give me enough time to work on something. But until next week, y'all have a good rest of your week. Get some me time in there in your craft room, wherever that might be. And just enjoy yourself. It's good for the mind and it's good for the soul. It keeps us sane. All right. So thank you for being here. Be sure that you like and share the videos. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure you hit that subscribe button and that little bell to be notified when I go live. So until next week, we'll see you then. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.